Do you want to know what happened this week? Well, too bad, because here's Comic Book Man anyway.
Nip it in the bud.
Once upon a time there was a week. Here to fill in the rest, Comic Book Man and the boys.
Hey folks, how you doing? Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for Week in Review! And this is the Week in Review for Wednesday, November the 17th, 2010. This is your look back at all the big events that happened in the week of November the 17th. Of course, as I've said before, if you look at Ship Shape Update and then you look at this show, you'll have a real good idea of what happened for this week. And this week in shipping, comic book wise, it was Batman and the House of L. It was a world's finest week in comic book shipping. Of course, Batman, the big thing was, he's back! That's right, Bruce Wayne the Return shipped this week. Bruce Wayne the Return, this is the story written by, who wrote this? Oh, yeah, Grant Morrison. And drawn by Mr. Finch. It's his first full work at DC since he did the jump from Marvel over to DC. And this tells the story of, now Batman is back, and he assembles the troops. And they have a little prequel where he's talking about the bat that first flew into his room after the night when he came back after his first night in town and getting the crap kicked out of him. And why it was that he chose the bat, and perhaps how prescient that may be for future events that Grant Morrison will be doing. But anyway, this shipped this week. Also, Batman-wise, was Batman Incorporated, which shipped this week, which is also by Grant Morrison, a bunch of other folks. Batman goes to Japan. And he starts his recruiting of the different Batmen around the world, and he goes to Japan, and I'm not going to be giving anything away with this because it's in the first 2 pages. Japanese Batman they're going to recruit is dead. He's killed in the first 2 pages. But his Robin is still running around, and Batman hooks up with him, along with the guy who killed him.
Don't worry, he was heavily insured.
He was heavily insured. Also, we had this week from the Batman family, and you know, Batman is a family, so usually there's a bunch of Bat books that ship every week. But this week was unusually heavy. We had regular Batman, and we had Batman in Brightest Day, actual Bruce Wayne, he was in Brightest Day. We also had this DC Comics Present reprint of Batman and Deadshot from a couple of years ago. Scott McDaniel did the art on that. And of course we had, as I said, Batman Incorporated and Batman the Return. Now over in the House of L, Superman 705 finally shipped. Why is this important? Because Superman comes to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago, Superman. Actually, Mount Prospect, which for those of you who don't live in Chicago, it's a northern suburb. It's not Chicago. That's a wrestling thing that Bo and I talk about all the time. How when the WWE comes to Chicago, they really come to Rosemont. They never actually come to Chicago. They come to Rosemont. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. J. Michael Straczynski, we're going to talk about in a few minutes. He is getting ready to wrap up on this book, but this was an excellent issue. Also this week from the House of L, we had Supergirl and we had World's Finest. The Supergirl book, Dan Sweet is going to review and Sweet talking, and the Superman Batman book was pretty good also this week. Also shipping this week, we had DC Legacies, which is another Superman Batman themed book. This, of course, is DC's replowing of their recent history by Len Wein. And this one revolved around Doomsday and Bane breaking Batman's bat, that portion of DC history. In the indie side, 2 Green Hornet books shipped this week. Green Hornet Blood Ties and Green Hornet Parallel Lives, both of which feature, well, this one actually features the new Green Hornet, the Kevin Smith Green Hornet. This one is the old Green Hornet, but it also harkens forward to the new Green Hornet. We also had G.I. Joe, Future Noir Special. This is a 2-issue miniseries that's coming out. They're $7.99 each. It was actually a 4-issue miniseries that they're crunching down into 2 issues, which is why it's so expensive. It's essentially the first 2 issues of a 4-issue miniseries. But anyway, this came out this week. I think this is an experiment on IDW's part to see if a higher price point will sell using G.I. Joe as a guinea pig. Over in the Marvel Universe, Spider books! 2 Spidey books this week. Spider-Girl #1, not Spider-Girl from the future. They're over, they're finished, they're done with it. This is the contemporary Spider-Man in 616, the new Spider-Girl in 616. That shipped this week, as well as Osborn #1. We got the tattoos here at the store. What tattoos? That tattoo right there on his neck, which is important to the storyline, and Marvel shipped out tattoos for them this week. But both of these shipped this week. One last thing I want to mention in shipping this week was this puppy. Grant Morrison's 18 Days. What is this? This is an animated either feature or series, I'm not sure which, but it was an animated piece of animation that Grant Morrison put together. This is storyboards. It's written in script form. If you go through this, it says exterior this, interior that. And it was also done about the same time that Virgin Comics was big. This, once upon a time, was supposed to happen in Virgin Comics, which of course now is defunct. It's all about Indian mythology, and it's quite an interesting little package. And the art is actually gorgeous in this thing. It's really nice. So that's the highlights for this week's shipping. Now for some wrestling news, for some media news, and for some comic news, let's go see the boys and the pros from Dover and see what's going on with that. Hey kids, how you doing?
Hey, look, it's
You
comic
doing
book man.
here?
Hey, comic
Well,
book
like I
man.
said, the pros from Dover are right here. Hey,
Yes.
Hey.
Jesus is a zombie, I hear.
Is
He is?
Wow.
Jesus is a zombie.
And
I
Moses
hear.
is a werewolf.
And Moses is a werewolf. What, we talked about this in Indie News. Why is he doing this? Why is Rob Liefeld, for those of you who don't know, Rob Liefeld is doing an online comic. Okay.
It's on his official website. You can look at it right now after you look at this.
And the title of it is
Zombie Jesus.
Zombie Jesus, which is
Zombie Jesus. Just
I was a zombie Jesus, teenage zombie Jesus. Why is he doing this thing?
Walking Dead's popular.
Well, no, actually, what I found out was that Rob Liefeld spends a fair amount of his time reading the Bible. He's very religious.
He's a Bible scholar.
He's a Bible scholar. He's a Bible study. He also knows a lot of priests, and he read a passage in the Bible,
Yeah.
specifically Matthew 27, which does suggest apparently that for a brief moment after Christ died, after Jesus died, the undead were walking the earth. Now he showed this passage to a bunch of his priest buddies,
Yeah.
and
Priestly
pastor
friends.
brothers,
And fellow Bible scholars.
and they read it and they went, "Yeah, we always thought it was a little weird to begin with." He said, "Well, why don't I do something with this?" And so he decided to create Zombie Jesus.
Now Jesus isn't a zombie in this thing.
Jesus is dead.
Well, he's dead.
Basically, in the online series, well, yes, Jesus is dead. In case you didn't know.
He's coming to
Yeah,
get you, Mary.
I heard he
Magdalene.
comes back
He's
too.
coming to get
I heard he comes back
Now,
too.
in this series, Lazarus is resurrected to
Yes.
defect. He's supposed to defeat demonic hordes
Yes.
and protect the physical body of the deceased Jesus Christ from destruction. Judas Iscariot wants the body because he's possessed by the devil and he's in charge of all the zombies. Now he says, now Liefeld's fully aware of the fact that people are going, "Isn't it blasphemous?" He goes, "It's about as blasphemous as you watching the Ten Commandments, which is basically a whole bunch of stuff that isn't in the Bible either."
No.
Or it's
No,
about, but
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
and he said if people are going to be offended by it, they're going to be. But if you read it, apparently it's not as offensive. Now I haven't checked the thing out. I haven't gone to Liefeld's website, but I'll look at it. If it's really offensive, well, so what?
Well,
It's
this is
an online comic.
the reason we're talking about this is a story that broke this week. We can review the story that broke this week on the internet, that this thing is out there and that Rob Liefeld did this, and I just think it's like weird. I really do. I just think it's a weird story.
I'm going to check it out just to see what it's like.
Yeah, and nobody had any idea he was doing this. It just popped up.
No, it's stuff. Well, stuff he was doing. He said that he's been working on stuff for the past 4 or 5 years. Of stuff he's been working on that has been in stages, and all this stuff is going to be available free on his website. And he wants to do a whole bunch of online stuff because, he's doing that Deadpool thing over at Marvel. He's
Yeah.
already finished all the pages with that one. He's not working on the Image United, the next issue, because we're still waiting for Todd to finish that. And so while he's killing time, he's drawing stuff, and he figures, well, if I'm going to draw stuff and do stuff, I can put it online for free and you can look at
We
it.
may be able to slip that down even more. It may be just a grab for publicity. Jesus
Yeah, it
Christ
could
and
be.
zombies.
You think?
You're going to get a lot of
You
publicity.
think?
What does the Bible say about girls with big boobs?
I don't know what the Bible says, but I say woohoo!
In media news,
Yes.
a little bit of media news stuff that we haven't covered. Spider-Man the musical is almost ready to come out. Now,
Yep, we're ready.
for
We're
those
Two
who-
years in the making.
We have been cast.
This has
by the
been
way.
years in the making.
I'm Uncle Ben.
Edge and Bono are doing the music.
They are doing the music. They've
Edge
already
and Bono
collected their
are doing the
check.
music. They've collected their check. Their music is done. This is a $60 million production. It's estimated that it's going to cost $1 million per week once this thing actually gets up and is running, and people are actually paying to come see it and slapping their money down. It's still going to cost $1 million a week to mount this thing. Guys, what do you think about Spidey the Musical?
I think tickets will have to be about $1,500 a piece for this thing to make
Yeah.
any money.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about a Broadway show. Broadway show tickets are not exactly what you'd call cheap.
They're not
But there are,
cheap to begin with.
but this is the most expensive musical in Broadway history
It
as
is.
of right now. This is the
And
now the
I don't
most
think there's
expensive
really,
one.
outside of it being a superhero musical, which has been done in the past. We've had discussions about Superman being done in the past. There is a precedent for this. Julie Taymor, who's directing the show and wrote the book for it.
She's also the person who came up with the entire visual for the play that's roaming around the country right now, The Lion King.
The Lion
Yeah,
King.
Lion
King.
And so there is a way to, there is a precedent for this. There is a way to make this material kind of work, although a superhero swinging between skyscrapers is going to be a little difficult.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good pull. There's
They're
lots of
going
luck
to fly
going
over the
on.
audience.
But at
They're doing
that
pretty good.
cost, $60 million production, that is going to be hard to recoup.
That's just to get it up, and then it's got to make $1 million a week
That's
just to
a lot of
cover
dough.
just to cover its nut each week.
Unless they're going to do a lot of ancillary product wrapped around this thing. The soundtrack album by Bono
I
and the
would
Edge
say that's
could
where
be a
your
big
money's to be
moneymaker
made.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
probably where you're going to make a bulk of your
Better
cash.
be damn good music.
Yeah.
Also in media news, Superman casting was announced this week.
Yes. Warner Brothers announced that Zack Snyder is beginning the casting process for the Superman reboot.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for a 28 to 32-year-old
actor.
an
They've-
unknown, preferably.
Yeah, they've got a relatively short window of production because the Superman lawsuit is still going around. And so, by saying this 20 to 32, this eliminates most of the actors on television who would maybe be considered for the role.
And it's closer to the age that Superman should be, as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
I'm concerned. I don't like the early 20s concept of Superman. I like him a little bit more mature.
Superman's always supposed to be 29.
There you go. Kind of
29.
like Jack Benny. No, that was 39.
Jack Benny.
Over on the wrestling side, Vince McMahon signed a 3-year extension on his deal with the WWE to appear on air. Now, I know you're saying, but he owns the company. But he owns the company.
Yeah, he owns the company, but every time he pops up on TV, he officially has to be paid because of actor rules.
Does he hand himself the contract?
The contract
Well, he-
He writes himself the
He
check.
negotiated with himself.
screwed himself.
He fought himself on the contract, and then he
I
signed
ain't
it.
paying you nothing.
The
I
toughest
know. I
negotiator
think,
there
is-
is.
from what I remember, this contract is for $1.3 million a year.
Okay. Last thing we got some cuts from the WWE. They announced who was cut? Big Dick
Well,
Johnson. Among
Big
others.
Dick Johnson, Christopher DeJoseph, who's a writer who's actually
Not Big
online
Dick
character.
Johnson!
Big Dick
No!
Johnson. He got cut. Jillian Hall
Wow.
got cut. Luke Gallows got cut.
Tiffany.
who had been working for the company
The pop singer from the
since she
80s?
smacked her
No.
husband around, Drew McIntyre, after going to the Playboy Mansion. And Shad Gaspard,
Who
for all you
was?
Crime Time fans, he was the big muscular guy. They sent him down to Florida Championship
Oh, the
Wrestling
big
to learn how to
muscular guy.
wrestle,
In
and he
wrestling?
didn't pick up on it relatively quickly, and it sucked. But those are 5 people. They also cut Vance Archer and Kalen Croft too. But those are the cuts that happened as right about
Got a pen.
a couple hours ago.
And that's the Week in Review. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. If you want to see more Week in Review stuff, go to the store's website
Kalen Croft.
because that's where they're all at. And until next time, this is Comic Book Man
This is Bo.
And it's JR.
saying bye. Hey folks, Comic Book Man here, wishing all of you a happy holiday season. Once again, Alternate Reality is teaming up with the Lions Club of Illinois to help alleviate hunger here on the South Side. Anytime between now and December the 9th, if you stop down at the store, bring your non-perishable food item with you and stick it in the Lions Club donation box. They'll be picking it up on the 9th, and they'll be distributing it to families who are in need all throughout the South Side. Now, if you can't make it to the store, go to the Mount Greenwood Lutheran Church, located at 10911 South Trumbull Avenue, and make your food donation directly through them. Be sure to call ahead before you go down. Or give Colleen a call at 708-363-5998. She's with the Lions Club, and she can tell you how you can help out as well. Happy holidays, everyone, from all of us here at Alternate Reality. Alternate Reality is located at 3149 West 111th Street. That's the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in Chicago, the beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood neighborhood. You can always reach us at 773-881-HERO or at the store's website, www.myalternatereality.com.